Sakuigar, I am the Man-Darian, and welcome to my channel. So let's start off with prepping the metal for the glue. And I glue both sides, the metal and the paper graphic that I am working on. As per usual, I am using my Uhu glue stick. I think it works the best. Whether you have time to let this sit overnight or you're doing it immediately, just make sure you put a liberal amount on both sides. Let it seep in for a minute or two and then press it together and make sure that it's sitting down flat all around. Next, start by grabbing yourself your center punch and a hammer and place a safe location for yourself to drill. It's not good to have your drill wander on these pieces and create unwanted marks that you can't file out later. Make sure to clean off your area so that none of the schwarf is scraping up your workpiece. Next, I'm going to start on the inside. For those of you that are working with copper and brass, there's not going to be a lot of room for this piece to lose the heat or spread it over a large area, so it is going to get warm in your hands. Aluminum workers or silver, you do not have to worry about that. The friction should not make it warm. If it is at any point making you uncomfortable, you can always stop, take a break, or keep a little piece of water with you in a cup or something and just dunk it from occasion to occasion, but you will have to take it off the blade for most of that because you don't want to rust the blade, and if you're using the blade for multiple projects, it will get destroyed. Now that I've gone to the end of that particular cut, I went back to my original hole, turned the blade, and went to the end of my original cut. Now I'm cutting forward because it's too tight of an angle to do a nice sharp turn. I just wanted to create as close to a knife edge as possible in the radius. So that's why I did that. It's a really good habit to do. I mean, I can cut very tightly, but I'm trying to make these videos for more inexperienced people. It's a good habit. There are tons of projects that I still do it on. Most I don't, but it's still a good habit to have because if you're wrong, you can't put material back in the brass. Alternatively here, if you don't want to backtrack your blade backwards, you could just start from another starting point and end up at your finished point of the original cut, but I don't like doing that always because sometimes you don't get the cuts to match up as nicely as possible, and then you have to file out a larger area so that you don't have a big tool mark in your finished product. On the outside, I'm going to start on the most direct in cut I can to give myself a more 90-degree surface to cut out the profile of the outside circle. And the reason I'm doing that is it makes it a little easier so that your blade is not skidding off of the surface. Trying to profile a circle off of an already made circle is very difficult. It can be done. I will do that on the other side to demonstrate it. But in your earlier process of doing these, make your life as easy as possible. If you can do it one way that's easier, do it that way. On to the filing. So I'm just using a half round needle file, removing all of the tool marks that I just created with my jewelry saw, because I'm using a rougher blade to go through such a thick, pretty well tempered brass. It tends to make a bit more of a mess than if I were to use a more delicate blade, which is not the best option here because a more delicate blade will wear out a lot faster and break a lot more often. So I'd just be wasting materials that are fairly expensive when I can just do a slight bit more in the cleanup with the file. If you're not as fortunate that your graphic peels off as easy as that, just throw it in some water for a couple seconds and it peels off nice and easy. That's part of why I like the Uhu, is they hold pretty good, but when you want it off, it comes off. Now here I'm doing the internal cuts, just cleaning them up. And I will be transferring the outside of this piece so that I don't have any 90-degree corners ever leaning up against my body and me hitting something and having it gouge me or cut me or anything like that. You don't have to do it, it's just a step that I particularly enjoy doing to make my jewelry just a little bit safer. You don't have to do it on the inside, because the inside in theory should never have to touch you. The amount of force that would bend a piece like this in particular would be pretty damaging to your body anyways, so I'm not worried about that point. It should never hit me at any point, no matter what I do, unless something has already catastrophically happened to me. This is something you do have to think about when you're making jewelry, is people do rough stuff not thinking about what they're wearing, so you have to design things so that if somebody's absent-minded, they don't seriously injure themselves with a point of something that you've made. Onto the 120 grit, because I did my 80 grit before I started. So just doing the outside edge, then I'll work my way onto the inside edge. I'll do the face after that on both sides, because this necklace is probably going to be in and flipping around. We'll see how I end up mounting it. I'm probably just going to do a leather slipknot sort of idea with this. I think it's a little bit more apropos for a smuggler, and that's what symbol this is from zerocompany. It's meant for the main character that you'll actually be kind of using the perspective of. So I wanted to do this one as an earlier video, but I wanted to get a couple of videos done so that I could improve my process on how to make these videos better. So let me know how you think I'm doing, because these are actually more difficult than you would think. To make these videos a little shorter, I'm actually gonna kind of skip some of this, because the sanding process is really just the same thing over and over and over and over again. If you haven't seen my other videos, after the 120 grit, I'm going to go to 240, and then after 240, I'm going to go to 400. After 400, I'm going to go to 600 or 800, and that's where I'm finishing with this particular piece, because brass is not the best surface to polish. It's fine, but it's a little softer metal. The thing you really got to remember is each time that you change grits, to clean the piece as thoroughly as possible, I like to use something like a wet wipe or wet cloth, something like that. really get in all the grooves, blow it off, that sort of thing, because you don't want pieces of the sandpaper or emery cloth coming out in a grit later and then marring your progress so that you have to go back and redo all those grits in succession. Keep in mind, every time you change grit, you should change direction. It does not have to be 90 degrees. 90 degrees is best, but if you're finding it difficult to go in a 90-degree direction because of the design of your piece, 25, 45, whatever degrees, as long as you're not going straight the same direction, it shouldn't matter that much. It's just more effective when it is crossing the grades. I finished with 800 grit on this particular piece, and now you have the Scoundrel's necklace from Zerocompany that you can wear out to conventions, with cosplays, Halloween, put on your keychain, show other Star Wars fans that you love that particular character. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you would like to see. This is the way.
Hey, this is Josh from Star Wars Escapepod, the podcast. Come and check us out weekly everywhere you find podcasts. May the Force be with you.